So when someone calls you and says, okay, I needed to file a claim, let's just talk about roofs or homes in general. What would you say and let's say it's not you. Let's say they have it with some other company and they call somebody else. What are some questions that they need to ask and things that they need to talk to their agent or the call center person or present to them to help them make their claim a little bit better and make sure that they're needing to do it and it's
so
necessary?
The first thing whenever you file a claim is always a date and a time. So they want to know the date and the time and exactly what happened. Okay. Wind damage and hail damage are basically the same thing, but they are not the same thing. Okay. So wind and hail is always typically for your roof. We get a storm that comes through. We get 90-mile-an-hour winds with hail. Wind is going to damage your roof differently than hail is, and they're going to pay how they repair that differently as well. Okay. So wind damage is paid by the shingle. Hail damage is paid by a square. So they're going to mark off a square. They're going to see how many strikes you have in the square. And if you have a certain number of strikes, that entire slope is now total. Okay. In a wind damage situation, whatever shingles get damaged by that wind are the only shingles that are going to get repaired. They're not going to see how much wind damage you have and replace the whole slope. They're just going to replace those damaged shingles.
Okay. Now, what about other parts other than the roof? I know, we had a big windstorm recently, or last couple months, and we were building our fence, and my whole fence came down because of the wind. Right. Now, it was a small section. It wasn't enough to make a claim. We had somebody repairing it. But what are some of the other things that people need to look for when they either have hailstorms or wind that other than just the...
Yeah. So there are coverages on your policy that are going to be depreciated no matter what. Okay. Your fence is one of those, right? When you have a fence that's built to last 10 to 15 years, when the fence is 10 years old, we're not paying for a brand new fence, right? We're going to pay you a depreciated value minus your deductible. So once again, when you call the agent and you say, my fence blew over in the windstorm last night, what should I do? We're going to look at it and say, well, how old is your fence? Yeah. Was it falling over to begin with, and the wind just kind of knocked it over, or was it a brand new fence and it got blown over? Yeah. So when it comes to the fences like that, now as far as car and other types of damage, once again, date and time, they're going to want to know what happened. They're always going to want to take a statement from you. And so you've got to be available to the company to be able to let them process the claim and fix your repairs, work with your contractor. And that's really your duty as a insured. When you buy an insurance policy, you're in the contract, it states at the time of the loss, you're going to cooperate with the insurance company. Mm-hmm. If you do not cooperate with the insurance company, they will not pay. Right. So it's always important that you be available for them to work with you. Claims adjusters are very difficult to contact, right? They are on the phone 24/7 all day long, right? They don't sit by the phone waiting for you to call. Right. Once they leave you a message, they're on to the next call. Right. And so, playing phone tag with that adjuster can be a little difficult. And going back to having an agent or being direct, that's another situation where if you have a conflict getting a hold of an adjuster, you can always pick up the phone and call your agent and say, hey, I'm having a real hard time getting a hold of this adjuster. Can you help me with that? And we can absolutely get involved and help you with that. Got it.
Do you think that, and of course this doesn't happen with you, but when it comes to adjusters coming out, or when it comes to somebody showing up to look at your roof and they say, no, your roof looks fine. Mm-hmm. You don't need to make any claims. Yeah. Should you always take that?
Absolutely not. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, the process of claims have changed in the last few years with technology. Okay. Virtual Assist is a big platform that the insurance companies use, which means that a live adjuster doesn't always come to the house anymore. They come out with a third party. Mm-hmm. They have cameras. They have video. They can Skype or chat with an adjuster behind a desk. And so the person who's at your property is not really the one. They're just doing a process for a company. So they come out there and they take pictures, and what your contractor and what that desk adjuster, as I call them, look at for damage is not always the same, right? Behind the camera, you can't see what you can see.
Yeah, it's different.
And so if they come out there and they say, you know what we're seeing here is not damage, you always have the right to go back to your insurance company and say, I'd like a second opinion, and I'd like you to send an adjuster to my house. And when they send an adjuster to your house, I would tell you 90% of the time they have a different opinion because they can physically see it, they can feel it, they can touch it, and now we have a better view of what we got. Now, if we have a baseball, golf ball size hill, Virtual Assist is a great platform. Right. It gets to the customer quick, it gets a check in their hand quick, and it gets the process going quickly. Right. But when we have a pea to marble size storm, not always do they see that damage through the camera or through a video, and so they need to send a person out to come see that damage because 90% of your policies here in Texas on a composition roof cover cosmetic damage. On a metal roof, cosmetic damage most of the time is not covered.
Okay.
And so most of the damage on roofs is really cosmetic damage. Your roof's not leaking, your roof's still functioning, it's shedding water. But when it damages that shingle to the point where it will degranulate and it will deteriorate over time, that is still considered damage that is owed by the insurance company.
Well, because eventually that shingle can wear
100%.